Hey guys, we've caught a couple lake trout and I wanted to show you the way we handle lakers. First thing when it comes to lakers, when you catch a lake trout, the best thing to do is make this slice. This is called bleeding a fish. When you cut them right there, it's kind of like slitting their throat. They're going to bleed out. That's going to make the meat a whole lot better. And you want to do that as quick as you can. Right after you catch them, bleed them out. Lake trout can be delicious. They can be kind of a fishy situation. Some of that has to do with what they're feeding on. If you can get into a water that doesn't have any smell or any alewives and they are feeding on the same thing as a regular trout would be, a brook trout or a rainbow, it can be a whole lot better eating fish. Ones that have been eating smell are not inedible, but you might want to handle them differently. Mostly we kept these because we're going to smoke them. I release most lake trout we catch, but these we're going to do a little demonstration of how to handle a laker. So once you've bled it out and you've got your fish, what you're trying to do is remove this spine and the rib cage. Unfortunately, there's another bone that comes up here that's called a Y bone. It actually comes up and Ys right into the fillet. If I run my finger here, I actually can feel it. It's running right along there. There's probably a way to pull that out or to cut around that, but most of the time, especially for smoking and everything, you leave it in, which is unfortunate because now you have to eat around the bones, but as long as you know where to look for them, it works. Also, if you have someone new coming over for dinner, you give them the fillet from here back, and that is clean and clear. The Y bone runs right around where that rib cage is. So the first cut is along the back, and we're going to be following that spine as we go. Put a little bit of pressure on it. You want to keep the knife close to the spine because that's where a lot of that fillet is located at. And you can hear that knife is cutting through. It's actually releasing the Y bone. If you know how to make a nice clean fillet without the Y bone, please comment below and share it with all of us. So once I've sliced along here, I've cut the Y bone, and I've just started over the rib cage. Then I popped through just behind this fin here. You see I popped the knife through and I'm pushing down. You'll see my finger here is actually applying pressure. That ensures that I'm not leaving any meat behind on that rib cage. So I'm pushing down, make a few sawing motions, pop it off. Up here, behind this pectoral fin, up to here, that's the line where you want to be releasing that fillet. I want every last bit. This fish died for me to eat it, so I don't want to waste anything behind. So I make that cut, and then carry on down over the ribs. You don't have to go all the way over the ribs. The other thing about lake trout is they're what they call a fatty fish. Fatty fish are great for smoking. The fat is where contaminants lay. It's another fact. This fish here, estimated age about 3 years. That's a 23-inch lake trout, eaten smelt heavily. So in that lake, he's about 3 years old. The younger lake trout taste better and have less contaminants in them. But most contaminants are located in the fat line. Now, if I was to smoke this lake trout, I'm done. This fillet is ready to go. I can't skin it if I'm going to smoke it because you need the skin to hold the whole fillet together through the brining and smoking process. Otherwise, you'll just have a bunch of pieces on your grates and your smoker. But if I'm going to bake this lake trout, which is good, especially fresh. That's another thing. Lake trout don't handle the freezer super well as far as flavor. If you want to really enjoy that lake trout, the day you catch it, prepare it like this and fry or bake it up that night, or bake it up, put it in the refrigerator and bake it up the next night, and you'll have a much better fish than fresh than frozen. Okay, to take the skin off, if I'm going to bake this lake trout, I take my thumbnail to catch the beginning of that skin, and I'm pushing down again. The beauty of these knives is that when I push down, it lays flat on the table. These are Rapala fillet knives. For the price, I don't think there is a better knife. They come with a little chintzy knife sharpener that actually works pretty well. I think they're like $16. I'll put a link to them on the comment line below. So I'm pushing as tight as I can on the table and slicing that fillet off. Now I flip it over. There's the fillet, there's the skin, nothing on there you want. This reddish material here is the fat. The fat is not your friend. The fat's where the contaminants is. The fat is where the fishy flavor is. I usually use my smaller fillet knife to actually peel off the fat. It usually runs right along this lateral line. It actually dives in. And if you make a cut here and a cut here, you're going to release that fish fat. I don't know what it is about it, but that's where the contaminants lay. That's where the fishy flavor lays. That's where some of the problems with the freezer issues are in that. So that's what we've removed, that fatty thing. If you want to take the time, and I probably will do this, but not here in the video, I want to keep it moving. If you want to take the time, you'll actually go through and pick out all that redder material with a nice sharp knife. So once you've got a nice lake trout fillet with the fat removed, bakes up really well. I'll put a couple recipes up and I'll actually show you how we bake these. When I bake these, I'll make a video. But I like to put mayonnaise on top and some Parmesan cheese and some garlic powder and bake that at about 350 for in nice melted butter in a pan, and it's actually pretty good. And give this section from the tail to the rib cage to your wife or to people who might be leery or not experienced with eating around bones. So that's that process. If you want to cut it up for smoking, the other side's always a little bit more of a challenge. If you want to cut it up for smoking, all we're going to do is the same process but leave the skin on. The nice thing about smoking is all that time it actually emulsifies a lot of that fat and it drips out. There, you hear that sound? That's that Y bone getting released. Then I'm going to follow along here. I'm actually going to flip the fillet over so that I can push down hard against the spine line. Run it out to the tail. Make this cut up here. Lake trout are a mess too. They're a smelly fish and they usually make a big slimy mess on the table. But there it is. Up over the ribs. Out here. Release that off. And we've got a piece ready for the smoker. My name is Roger. I focus on how to do just about anything fishing. I would really appreciate if you took the time to subscribe and check out our other videos. If you're into perch fishing or ice fishing, we have Roger's Rigs, a website where I sell some of the lures we make. But this is what we do. And next time you catch a laker. Oh, one other thing. If you catch a laker and you want to do what they call a whole fish, that's a simple process. It's just a matter of gutting the fish, start at the vent, go up, and remove the head. Yeah, we can do that with this. Oh, and here's a unique thing. You see that? And that? That is a Senko rubber worm. They say friends don't let friends use Senkos. That is why. Fish, I've found these in lake trout, I've found these in bass, I've found these in perch even. They're scented. They're laying on the bottom. Fish pick those up and swallow them, and they just stay in their stomach. But that's a process. You can gut the fish. Basically, if you just gut the fish, remove the head, and then clean out on the inside of that fish, you'll find, there's the air packet. You'll find there's some black, it's actually blood. This black stuff here at the bottom. Just take your knife and remove that, and remove the head, and you have a whole fillet, a whole fish. And that's okay for baking, or even for doing like a flaked fish. But that's the fillet method. Gutting's pretty basic. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.